I've acted out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching, but we're alone now, and I'm singing this song to you. I know your image of me is what I hope to be. I treated you unkindly, but darling, can't you see? There's no one more important to me. Baby, can't you see through me? 'Cause we're alone now, and I'm singing this song to you. You taught me precious secrets. Good morning. It's another episode of Pep Talk, TJE. This week's topic has changed. I did a 360 in about face for this topic because I felt like it's some other things going on that I felt it's a lot of layers that that can be addressed and that can be used to be beneficial for those who have ears who choose to listen or hear. So I was supposed to talk about relationship advice, relationship scenarios, relationship occurrences, those type of things. Very lighthearted discussion. But the events that took place this week, and I'm speaking about the Pooh Sheisty and Gucci Man situation. And I normally don't dive into celebrity dealing, celebrity news, or get into any of the gossipy type of things. But in this case, with a lot of things that happened this week, I think there are parallels to take out of the situation. And also, I want to kind of connect it with the youth speak, the youth talk that we had or that people were having on the internet and giving their opinions and thoughts about the youth. And in some cases, people were making things that could probably help the situation. Some people were just blaming the youth or so on, whatever your opinion was. I think all of it can go into a pot and we can brew up something and come to some type of resolution or conclusion or an informed opinion to be able to move forward in a intellectual way, if I should say. So now, first thing I want to attack with the Gucci Man and the Pooh Sheisty situation is mentality. I think mentality is one of the most important things that a person needs to work on if they want to be the best version of themselves, for one. And if they want to take their life to new heights. You cannot move or change and become a better version of yourself if you still have the same mentality. And when I say mentality, I'm talking about the whole breach of it. We could talk about if you have a lack mentality, meaning about money and living in survival mode. That's one thing. Another thing, a mentality is that you owe some type of debt to society. You owe some type of debt to an image that you need to keep up for other people because how they may feel about you. We only have one life at the end of the day. And if you choose to live your life according to how people feel your life should go, well, then you can go ahead and be that puppet. But if you choose to live your life on what makes you happy, you are going to ruffle feathers. You are going to have people have opinions about your life because majority of the time and majority of people, they don't focus on themselves. And that's why we have so much of a success gap within the world, or just if you want to minimize it and take it to smaller locales or locations, community. Because what mostly happens is you get a few people who are successful, and you get a lot of other people that are either leeching off of those people, or who have opinions, and their jealousy and their envy and their hate is just on so much display they can't be cool with them. So they got to try to form cliques, crews, and opinions to demonize them. And that mostly comes from people because they don't focus on themselves. If we focused on ourselves and things that we can get better at from a financial, from a physical, from a mental, from emotional, from an intellectual mindset, we would be too focused on getting better and engulfed in things that we wanted and how we wanted to proceed, regardless of what it was, a career, a business, even a job to that. If we focused on that, we wouldn't have time to be talking down on people or trying to pull people back that are seeming to be reaching out for something that they believe in. And you get to talking about the crabs in the barrel mentality, or that type of thing, where when someone sees you going to a higher length, they pull you back down to that length that they're on for their comfortability. And that happens on all different angles, forms, or platforms, or different standpoints. So there's a lot of things that you can layer it at when you talk about mentality. What I want to focus on for this part of this discussion is the mentality of the street mentality, or the civilian, the citizen, or the business mentality, because there are two different things. And I think we get so lazy in our arguments that we try to use some similar words that have some type of credence to them, or they mean similar things, but when you're using them in the wrong form, it doesn't quite add up. So let's go for this instance that Pooh Sheisty and the whole thing. So for one, to me, the whole situation wasn't gangster at all. And this is my opinion. It wasn't gangster. I'm gonna tell you why. Because if Pooh Sheisty had a dispute with Gucci, if he wanted to be gangster, quote unquote gangster, he should have handled his business in whatever form or way that he wanted to do that. Now, and my mentality and how I am now, I think the way of handling his business is, if you got a contract that you don't like, you either make the contract right where whatever it is that you need to do, you do it. Otherwise, you go to court or use other avenues. But this idea that you can take a street mentality into a business format and expect for it to turn out as good is just lunacy. Like that's a crazy way of thinking. And for people to sit there and say that, oh, Gucci snitch, how is that the case? That's not even, like, we just use words and just prop them on top of things and try to make them fit. That's not what snitching is, man. For one, Gucci ain't in the streets no more. For one, let's just take that into account. Gucci is a businessman. Gucci has a wife. Gucci has a family. The Gucci, that image that was a long time ago, is not the same person that he is now. And that's cool. That's good. That means that he has elevated to another level of life. That means that he has turned into a better version of himself. So what you telling me is that Pooh Sheisty, who had 8 other people with him, and they were armed. So you already armed, and you already got a whole crowd, which criminals know the more eyes and ears that you have with you is the more chances that you got of getting caught, for one. So that wasn't smart at all. But some people are just straight crash outs and straight send-offs. So regardless of the name notoriety, regardless of what people admire or people push out here on social media, that has nothing to do. You always going to return back to who you actually are. You know, like if you don't change your mentality, no matter how much money you get, it don't matter what type of people that you're around, you always gonna see those people in those boxes that mentality that you had that you never changed forced you to see them in. So I'm not gonna get into about his deal and about if Gucci signed him to a bad deal or whatever, because at the end of the day, if the deal was bad, he shouldn't have signed it. If he didn't agree with it, because obviously he got benefits from that deal when first signing it. But in the music industry, if you sign a deal, you get a $1 million cash advance. You got that $1 million. And of course, in most cases, people's mentalities ain't right. So they get that cash or whatever, and they flaunt and they do different things and they spend it all up. You still owe that label that money. They got to put money into promoting you, marketing you, into your record, different things, studio time, all that type of stuff that adds money. So when that all happens and everything, like you still owe a bill. So you can't take the $1 million and then say, oh, this ain't looking right, this ain't add right, because you're supposed to take all that into account beforehand. That's about you know, being business savvy and understanding what you're getting yourself into. And that's a whole nother discussion, but I just wanted to bring that about because that's very important. So you want Gucci to, quote unquote, keep it in the streets, but he not in the streets no more. So what he's supposed to do, Gucci had 3 options, and neither one of them was advantageous to him from the standpoint that he is, because all of them was pretty much he gonna get blowback regardless of what it is. And it wouldn't have been a smart decision. I think, to me, he chose the smartest one out of the 3 options, to me, for his life. And that's my opinion. The first option was he could have took it on the chin and let them just treat him and get away with it or whatever. That's one. The second one, he could have got on their time and put himself in a position to go back to prison or go back to jail. And people on the social media would have been saying, yeah, all this, they would have been ramping it up and being like, yeah, but then he would have been looking stupid because he would have gave away his life for matching the emotions of somebody else who irrational. That's 2. The third one, and the option that I don't know directly because there were other evidence that they had, which cameras, which this man, Pooh Sheisty, had bracelet on, allegedly had a bracelet on, so, because he had just been out in January. He got out in October sometime. So he had been out for, 2 months? He was already in that mindset of doing something to risk himself, going right back there. But let's just say, for all intents and purposes, and for the state of not arguing, let's just say that Gucci told on him, or he had it done or whatever. That's not snitching. That's called a formal complaint about something that happened to a citizen or a civilian. Snitching is when you are partaking in illegal activity and you can't take the pressure, so you start telling on all the people who was partaking in that legal activity with you. Snitching is going down there and getting in somebody else's business that had nothing to do with you and start just telling the name and all the stuff that they do. That's snitching. Doing some sneaky stuff behind somebody's back. What Gucci did, or a press charge, that's not snitching. But we use these words, we use certain words, click words and stuff on the internet, and we just make them right. Like, arrogance and confidence are similar, but they're not the same. But if I look at somebody in a negative light, I'll say they arrogant. The person might just be real confident, but I'll say they arrogant because it gives a negative connotation behind it. But even though they got similar meanings, it's not the same. So telling, filing a complaint, and snitching are totally separate things. They're not the same. They're in the same line of grouping, but they're not the same, regardless. So let's just clear that up. And to me, and it's crazy because the internet just glorifies just some of the stupidest stuff, but I'm gonna tie that into the youth. We talk about what the youth is doing and these things that they're doing, and we quick to come on and bash them. But the internet and the social media glorify some of the most craziest things, man. Craziest things. And it ain't all the youth that be doing that. It ain't all the YNs or the YGs or whatever that's doing that. For instance, like I said, I'm going to tie these things in. What was Pooh Sheisty father having to do with that? What was smart about that whole thing? Like, what was smart about it? Because, okay, even if you thought, well, Gucci not gonna telling us, so we just gonna do this or whatever. He ain't gonna say nothing, so we just gonna do that. Like, what's smart about that as a father? Because that goes into one of the main concerns is when it comes to youth. Parents are so caught up with being their kid's best friend and not wanting to have any dissension or any type of confrontation with their children, even when they telling them something that's going to benefit them in the future, or they telling them something that's right. They don't stand on any type of morals or principles or anything that means anything. So they rather just go along with the wind and blow with their kids because they don't want to have no type of get into it with them or say something that their kid might not be in agreement with. So this man is getting involved in the situation of something like this, and he his daddy. So, do I blame Pooh Sheisty for what he did? He has to be accountable for what he did. But damn, if your own daddy is being involved in some bull crap like that, that's a whole bigger discussion. That's a whole bigger discussion. And a lot of that time that happens with the, not just the dads, with the mothers too. The parents are so enabling these youth. And that's sort of the big problem, because if y'all enabling them and emboldening them and making them feel like they can get away or do whatever the hell they want to, who else they gonna listen to? So, I know Gucci probably feeling like, well, man, it's going to take a hit on my image and I can't, man, F them people. You ain't in the streets no more. You not that Gucci man from 10, 12 years ago that was involved in all that type of stuff, that was integrated with them beefs and stuff in the street. You ain't living your life like that no more. You got a beautiful wife. You got kids. You have a family. You ain't moving that way. You moving like you are a businessman in a record label. Excuse me. So, you don't play by those rules. And just because you once did, if you allow people to tie you to some type of code or something that you got to stick by when you ain't even living that life no more, then, I mean, you being misled if that's the case. And I don't think so, because I know his wife ain't going. I know she ain't going. I know that. And I know she gonna give him some good advice when it comes to a lot of these things. That's the reason why he got out, and he don't change. He ain't the same. That's why people talking about he a clone and he all of this or whatever. He don't look the same or whatever. Man, listen. That man changed his life. He don't want to go back to prison. He don't want to wake up to them telling him when to eat, when he can come out of cell, when he allowed to have a visit, when he allowed to have a phone call, what time he can have a phone call, checking his mail when it come in and telling him he can't have it because it's something written in there that's inappropriate or whatever it may be the case. He don't want to live like that. He want to live a free life. He want to be able to be a man and stand on his own. See, another thing about prison, I'm going to tell you something. Prison is a numbers game. And I'm not just speaking on the offset. I did time before. You know what I'm saying? So prison is a numbers game. That's why a lot of crash out and send-offs, they do the same thing in prison. They don't change their mentalities. That's why a lot of them, they keep recycling within the system. You know? So, and you see the people who go to prison and use their time as their advantage, they start to better themselves and reading, being educated on certain things. They don't really hang around in groups. They hang with themselves. They learn how to be disciplined. They learn how to have love, how to follow their own advice. They don't move to the crowds. They're the type of cats that survive when they get out on the streets. They have that internal fortitude, that go get up in them, that know how to stand against all odds. They don't need the comfort of being around a lot of people and feeling like they're important from numbers. But there are some people that do. And then the people that feel important from numbers, another thing is that they don't like responsibilities or when they have to be accountable for things. So if they can go somewhere where they can just fit in, they don't have no bills, they don't have no pressure of having to come through and all that type of stuff, they feel right at home. And that's just the fact of the matter. That's the fact of the matter. And in most cases, and of course there are stories where there are anomalies, where it happens, you know what I'm saying? Not too often, but it does happen. But most of the time they don't change. They just revert from being a crash out on the streets to being a crash out type person and hanging in cliques and groups when they get in prison, when they get locked up. So they don't change. They just keep that same mentality. And it's just waiting to brew up and for them to get caught up in something and go right back to prison. So I just don't understand how people, the way the glorification is of certain things, man. To be in the streets anyway, the whole goal is to get your shit together in the streets so you don't have to be in the streets. To be able to live a luxurious, a successful life and don't have to deal with all the backlash and don't have to be in it. But we steady try to keep pulling people back in to that pot. And people better know, they better learn, they better have that, man, I'm living my life regardless. Stop needing the validation of other people. Because if you need the validation of other people, you're going to always be sucked back in. Always. At some point, you got to be like, man, I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about. I'm going to live my life. I'm making a decision that's most beneficial for my life. And if that means that you upset in some sort of fashion, that means that you focus on the wrong thing, because you shouldn't be focused on me in the first damn place. You should have some type of thing going on in your life where you could be so engulfed and focused on. But that's the world, that's the land of social media that we live in. That's the life the life of the world with the people that's up in it. And I'd be damned if I allow what people think, what they say, to dictate the way I move or what decisions I make in my life. It's my life. If you don't like it, go to hell. I don't need your validation. I don't need your approval. I don't need nothing from you. What I really need is for you to stay out of my way, mind your business, and let me do what I need to do. Let me do me. So for the most part, this all comes down to mentality, man. And we have a messed up mentality, man. We label things that are not true. So, Gucci, my word to you, man, live your life, man. And take care of your business. You should not let yourself be pulled back down into a street mentality when you don't even live that life no more. You already don't put your work in. Even though YNs and so on, they don't have no respect. That comes down a lot to respect. Like, they don't respect nothing nowadays. You know? They just don't respect some, and that comes from them allowed to majority of times in their homes not to have respect. Be able to yell at their parents and cuss them out and it still be okay. That type of thing. So if they can do that to their parents, they damn sure don't give a damn about nobody in the streets. They don't give a damn about that. There's no type of connectivity, no type of connection within community. None of that don't mean nothing no more. And in a lot of cases, it's not their fault. The things they do, they have to be accountable for. But a lot of ways that the way they were brought up, the systems, communities and stuff, they have failed them. They have failed them. And a lot of the majority of the time, it starts at home. And that's just the truth of the matter. And whatever be the case, I take stands with mine. If you're doing something that ain't right, I'm not finna be kissing your ass. I'm gonna tell you what's right. If you don't like it, hey, you can go out there and find out. If you're at a certain age, you can go find out yourself. You can go find it, go bump your head, go learn yourself. You can always come back and talk. We can talk. We can always have some type of meeting of minds, but I'm not going to endorse your bullshit just because you my child. It's not gonna happen. I don't care. And I give a damn about what people feel and what society says. Because I have to use the avenues I have to use to lead my kids in the right direction. They don't have to live a life that I want them to live. But damn, they need some type of etiquette, some type of respect, some type of morals, some type of character about themselves. And whatever I need to do to form that or to get that to be something that percolates in their mind and think, that's what I need to do. So this whole situation is sad, man. It really is. But I see the crossroads in between and the different things that you can peel back from this. Like I said, the situation with Gucci, with the mentality and about what he's supposed to do. Gucci don't owe nobody nothing. Gucci done been in the streets. He did his time. He came back a changed man. He ain't going back to the streets. He married. He's got kids. He's got a family. And he should conduct himself in that way. And people going to say what they're going to say anyway. If you live for the cheers, you would die for the boos. If you give people that much authority over your feelings and the way that you move, you're always going to lose. You're always going to lose. So you have to think, and in his case, he's in a position where a lot of people that got opinions about him ain't been through none of the shit he been through or don't got what he got. So therefore, they just got hot opinions and hot takes. It don't mean nothing at the end of the day. He got to make the best decision for his life, his family going forward. And whatever he chooses to do, I just hope he don't get caught up in the image and about what it looks like, what it is, because from the truth of the matter, Gucci is not the Gucci man, the guap from back in the day that you was, the music that you was dropping, the things that you was doing, you're not that person no more. And it's okay. It's actually a very good thing. We're supposed to move in a sin as we get older and so on. In a lot of cases, we wait too long till we get to a certain age to start making changes and transforming in a way. So, like I said, man, mentality is a big part of that. Mentality was the reason that Pooh Sheisty thought he'd get away with doing some bullshit like that. Mentality is the reason why Gucci probably thinking, man, what should I do and all that. You know what I'm saying? Mentality. I'm glad that he didn't go to the mentality of matching the energy. Because then he would have put himself in a fucked up predicament where he could have been like, well, man, they did this first, whatever, but at the end of the day, you still matched it, and now you got to be accountable for that. So I'm glad that he didn't do that, and I think that came from having his wife and people like that gives him that strong support and helps him make those tough decisions. And the mentality of Pooh Sheisty's actions and his father actually being arrested too. Accessory, abetting, aiding, abetting. Yo, daddy is okay with that? That's the world we live in, man. And then we wonder why youth is running wild, why youth are having youth takeovers. We wonder. And yeah, I'm not absolving them of any blame. You know, everybody got to be accountable for their actions. But when you got parents that are involved with it too, that's a sad day, man. We need some work. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I will say, man, I'm not gonna come on here and blame these youth, man. Even though I will hold them accountable when they doing some of the stuff they doing, but it's bigger than just them, man. And that's what I think people need to realize. There are a lot of things going on from the home that they live in, from the community, from the social media pressure and all those different things. They just different now, man. Like, and obviously it affects them. That's why some of the suicide rates and different things, and the youth crying off songs and being like more emotional and stuff like that, man. The world is just different than what it used to be. Excuse me. And you don't have to change with the wind or change with the world, but you need to understand so you can be adaptable, so you can be able to reason with some of these youth and some of the things that they're going through and how they carry themselves. Because they're in a different generation. And if we just look at our generation and compare it to theirs and just start blaming and shifting blame and victim blaming and all that different type of stuff, we'll never be on no accord, or we'll never be able to reach for something, some semblance of change. So I tried to tie that in about the mentality with Pooh Sheisty, with Gucci in the situation, and also with Pooh Sheisty's father and how he was being involved in any type of way with that whole situation. That explains a lot of the things that youth are going through right now these days with these parents that have just left the idea of the situation of parenting and have decided to just be their kids' best friends and to not have any objection or any disagreement or any type of confrontation with their kids when it comes to doing things the right way and having some type of moral character and things like that. So I pretty much talked about that and hit the points that I wanted to hit. I hope that this message draws up something and touches somebody or sparks a conversation in a different place. But I hope that it does what it's supposed to do, and that's to be to help somebody, to pull somebody out when they feel as though they have to make a decision because what people might think, or they have to move a certain way because how people may look at them. At the end of the day, we all have one life, and the more you focus on that one life, the more you will be confident and emboldened in the decisions that you make pertaining to that life. So y'all have a good weekend. Another episode, Pep Talk, TJE. And I'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a blessed weekend once again. Peace.